I called up the manager and said, hey, look, you know, I'm going to do these shows with Bruce, if that's okay, you know, just checking it doesn't clash. And this was at the time when we weren't really getting too many shows with Rachel Stamp. It was a bit quiet. And he was like, and he said, look, it's not a problem if it doesn't clash, enough, none of it clashes. But, you know, if it clashes, there'll be a problem. I said, no worries. And then Bruce added one more show, and it clashed. And I was like, oh, shit, what am I going to do? And so basically, we were we were headlining all of the shows except this new show, which was Grass Pop, and Slayer were headlining, and there was Dream Theater on the bill, and Rob Halford was opening up the bill, and we were on just after Rob. And then the gig that it clashed with the Rachel Stamp show in Essex, which is sort of east of London, and we were headlining that show. So I kind of I obviously had a complete coronary, you know. I was like, oh my God, what's going to happen? But then when I sort of calmed down a bit, I realized, hold on, Bruce is on in the afternoon, so we're probably on about 5 p.m. to 6, and that's in Europe, so it's an hour. That's in wherever it was, Brussels. So that's an hour ahead. So in UK time, that's coming off stage at 5, and then Rachel Stamp are headlining in Thurrock, the Thurrock Music Festival. So we're probably on a stage at 10 p.m. So that gives me 5 hours, 5 UK hours to do a James Bond and get the hell back to the UK. So I was like, right, it could be done. Then I was like, well, Bruce is a pilot. So I basically took a deep breath and I phoned him at his house. And one of his kids answered. And I just sort of went, hey, it's Robin, I'm the drummer. I need to speak to your dad. And he went, are you the guy in Rachel Stamp? And I went, yeah. And he goes, oh, I love your video. And of course, our video was on MTV at the time. So I was thinking, oh, that's cool. Like, I've impressed the kid. You know?
You're in now.
I'm kind of okay, you know. And then, you know, you're hearing the steps and you're clunk, 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 clunk. And he goes, hello, what's going on? You know, I took a deep breath. And this is, I think, before I'd even played a note with him. I said, basically, hey, Bruce, it's Robin. I've got to tell you, one gig has clashed with my band, Rachel Stamp. You know, is there any chance you can fly me and you back from Brussels to this show? And without even blinking, he just went, well, let me see, where is the festival? I said, oh, it's in Thurrock. And he went, oh, there's an airstrip there. and he started flicking through some, you know, atlas, and you just got the idea that he got them flying atlas right by the phone. And he was like, oh, there's an airstrip there, not too far from there. We'll be able to do that. And then he started going, well, I've actually got a friend who owns a medieval bomber. Why don't we do it in that? And of course, at this point, I'm just tripping balls going, crikey, you know, Bruce is going to fly me back from playing with Slayer in Brussels in a bomber to land in the UK to play with Rachel Stamp. I mean, you know, fast forward, none of that happened, but me and Bruce did end up flying back on a commercial flight. And this will tell you everything about Bruce. Bearing in mind, he flies these planes for a living as well as singing in a little band. And he changed his flight ticket from being in first class to sit up in the peasants area with me. He changed his flight so he could sit next to me. And then we're just getting ready for takeoff, and he's playing with his phone. And the flight attendant comes down and goes, and she doesn't know he's, you know, Sir Bruce of Dickinson, flyer of planes. She just sees him as a normal punter, and he's playing with his phone. She goes, excuse me, sir, you're going to have to stop, you know, you have to turn your phone off now because we're getting ready for flying. And of course, Bruce, being a pilot, knows exactly when and why, you know, why you should turn your phone off and when. So he looked up at her and he said something like, I mean, I didn't understand it. It was like pilot gobbledygook, but he said, oh, well, I realized the pilot hasn't engaged the, you know, warp factor phaser sector 7C engagement thrusters, or what, you know, whatever he said. So technically I don't need to do it right just now. And of course, she'd never heard any response like this ever. She just paused and went, I'm sorry, sir, could you just turn your phone off? And so Bruce just went, yep, no problem. And he just shut his phone down. And yeah, so we land, and I go to shake Bruce's hand and thank him, and he goes, fuck off, man, you got a show to play. Get in your car, you know. So the Sanctuary, of the Iron Maiden's management laid on a limousine to take me 100 miles an hour over from Heathrow, which is all the way left, to Thurrock, which is all the way right. So we did 100 miles an hour all the way there. The guys in Rachel Stamp are phoning me going, where are you? You know, I'm like, I'm just around the corner, you know. And I got there 2 minutes before due on stage, and I climbed over the barrier, And the rest of the band were a little bit shocked. And I just said to them, let's rock. And we walked on stage and rocked the show. And so there you go. That's my, so two bands, two different countries, two different concerts. One day I did a Phil Collins.
That's legendary, man. Wow.
Yeah.
Crazy. What about Faith No More? How long did you spend with Mike Patton and the crew, and what was that like?
That was again like the sort of the like the whole thing of like, dude, you're going to be playing with the singer from Iron Maiden, you know, and your life changed as a kid. Well, the thing is, if you're in the UK and you're into music, you've heard of Top of the Pops, which is like, you know, it was the only TV show that had any music on. And if you're into rock and roll and stuff, you'd every week you'd keep your fingers crossed that you'd get something a little bit left of center, something a little bit heavy, you know, a bit rock, and every now and again you might just get, you know, Status Quo or something, you know. Yeah. And I remember seeing Faith No More on the last time they were on Top of the Pops, and it was a song called Digging the Grave, and I was like, oh my god, this is amazing, this is really rocking, oh god, so good. I tuned in, and basically you know, fast forward, I ended up doing, you know, helping roadie for like this sort of comedian guy who would do like a show in the West End, and his backing band were basically the Robbie Williams backing band. So you got Phil Eisler on bass, you had Guy Chambers, the guy who wrote Angels, you know, on keyboards, you know, lovely bunch of guys, super talented. They're all kind of session musicians at the top of their game. And I was their Johnny Roadie, you know, I was just running around fixing stuff, setting up the drums, and, you know, and during this time, you know, I'd learned all their set, and, you know, I ended up depping in that. That's another story. But anyway, the bass player guy, hey man, can you take this head to be repaired into this address in South London? You know, I'll bung you 50 quid or whatever it was, you know. So I was like, yeah, sure. So the next day I put this bass amp in my car and I drive down to, I think, Ritz Studios or wherever it was in Fulham in South London. And I kind of got a bit lost in the building because it was like, there's the workshop there. And I was like, well, where's the, you know, no one's here. And I walked along up some stairs to this door, and it said, session agency, do not enter unless you've got a prior appointment. And of course, I was, you know, a bit cocky. I was thinking, you know, my whole method, the whole do stuff thing came into play. I was like, well, I'm dying to know how session musicians are born. You know, where do they come from? And, you know, and maybe this place called the Session Agency, maybe this is it. This is where they're spawning from, you know. So I completely disregarded the whole do not come in unless you got an appointment. And of course, I had pink hair at the time, so I thought, you know, let's just go for it, you know. And I opened the door and walked in. It's this massive, great big room, and there were 3 desks, and the three ladies behind the desk. And all I heard was, "Oh, I like your hair." And I thought, boom, I'm in. So I just steamed right into the head of the desk. I went, hey, my name's Robin. I play drums. I'm guessing you're a session musician agency. I will do all the shit that all of your people on your books won't do. I said, give me the crazy stuff, you know, and I don't care if it's like, you know, do it, whatever. I'll do it. You know, you probably got much more talented people than me on your books doing very talented sessions. I'll do all the crazy shit, you know. And I gave them my card at the time, which was a picture of me with a box of broken drumsticks with a t-shirt, say, technical expert. And they liked all that shit. They liked my vibe. And they went, hey, look, let me get your number, and off you go. So off I went and repaired the bass amp, and that was that. And literally, I don't know, 2 weeks later, I get this call going, hey, it's Tina from the Session Agency. You know, you wanted something crazy. I was like, yeah. You go, well, we got something crazy for you. I went, okay, tell me what it is. She said, it's Top of the Pops. And I was thinking, at this point, it's probably jumping around in a chicken suit, like as a backing dancer to Supergrass or something, you know, in the back of which of course I would have said yes to, because I was thinking, well, I'll take some business cards, I'll go and jump around in my chicken outfit, and I'll go and network Top of the Pops. And the next sentence blew my mind again. Like, yeah, it's drumming for Faith No More. I'm like, this is only the most credible metal band of the entire 90s. And yes, I said, you know. So literally a couple of days later, this motorcyclist courier dude turned up on my house with the CD single. I was like, please let it be an easy pop song for me to remember, you know. And it was Ashes to Ashes. So I learned the song. Went down there, and during the time I heard on the grapevine they wanted me to wear a mask, which was obviously a mask of their drummer Puffy Borden, and Puffy was away playing with Ozzy at the time, so he was doing a bit of moonlighting, and his wife was pregnant and giving birth, and so he was away with that, and so he wasn't really around when Faith No More had to promote their album of the year, you know, and so suddenly that they get the call to go to the UK because their song's charted and there's no Puffy in sight, so they were like, right. They wanted, quote unquote, a monkey to wave his sticks around at the back wearing a puffy mask, and I was that monkey.
Better than a chicken, man. It's better than a chicken.
Man, better than a chicken. So they give me this mask. We do all these rehearsals, run through it without anything, and we're all bonding. We're getting on really well, and it's all funny. And then the last but one, they're like, right, we're going to do this, proper full dress and all that, you know. And they said, we want you to wear this mask. And of course, I was like, oh no, the rumors are true. There is a mask, you know. And they gave me this really badly made mask, which was like, imagine a passport size photo the size of a thumb and then blowing it up to be the size of a face. And it was pixelated. It looked like sort of, I don't know, Jesus or something. Where they'd obviously got scissors and stabbed it through the eyes. So these tiny pokey eye holes and this crap piece of thin elastic with a single knot that held this thing in place. So I sort of went, okay, you know. So anyway, they roll cameras. The Spice Girls are presenting it, and this is the Spice Girls at the peak of their fame. It was a huge a huge Top of the Pops program. George Michael was dropping in as a secret guest. Sarah Brightman was on it. Hanson were doing M-Bop. I mean, it was Wet, Wet, Wet were on there, you know, and you got Faith No More. So it was amazing. And so Mike Patton gives me the mask, and like literally seconds out before the filming, he literally looks me in the eye and he goes, "Make this work." And he fixes me with his steely glaze and goes, "Make this work." And of course, you don't fuck with Patton, you know. He's the guy. He's the commander, you know. And so I went, "Yeah, no problem." And I don't know if you know Ashes to Ashes, but it's basically 4 riffs that go down. That's the first riff, and I put the mask on. Second riff. The elastic with the crap aforementioned single knot popped through the mask and it fell flat on my snare drum. Third riff, everything goes into slow motion like in a horror movie where they're escaping from Freddy Krueger up some toffee stairs. We go and I was like, no, what do I do? And I'm thinking to myself, I could probably poke the elastic through the hole and tie a knot in it in the next millisecond. And then the fourth riff came in, and I went, fuck it. And I just chucked the mask to the side, rocked the drum fill, and cracked on with the song. And obviously, for the first half of the song, all the band were facing the cameras. So they're not facing me. So they didn't see me with this whole mask debacle, you know what I mean? So halfway through, like, Mike Patton turns around for the first time. Now, bearing in mind, the last time he saw me, was giving me the mask saying, "Make this work." So then he turns round. He doesn't know the mask's fallen off over problems. He just sees me with my pink hair and, you know, my gangster suit that I had to buy from a charity shop. You know, that was their image. And he puts his little plastic beaker of champagne down on the drum riser and comes back up flipping me the bird. So he gives me the finger on children's TV, and I'm trying to shriek back to him going, "Hey man, the mask fell off. It was badly made. There was this little piece of elastic." But of course, I'm shouting this over deafening playback volume, and we're all trying to rock out. So I'm messing up the beats, you know, and my head's gone to shit, you know, and he just turns around. Anyway, then it goes into like a solo, and then he starts screaming, and we rock out, and then we're all gelling as a band at this point and killing it. And then he turns around, and he gives me a wink, which I think was the sort of pattern seal of a fuck you approval. You know, it's kind of like, hey, bud, I would have done the same, you know. Right. So that was cool. So then we finish and we go to the side of the stage and in a corridor. And Billy Gould, he's the actual real runner of the band. He's the one that says jump and everyone says how high. He starts freaking out, going, "Man, I'm going to freaking tape this to your freaking face. We need to freaking get some freaking gaffer tape, and I'm going to freaking make sure this mask doesn't freaking fall off." You know, I'm sitting myself going, "Oh no, man, they're going to run the film and see what they've just shot, and they're going to see Mike Patton give me the finger. They're going to go, okay, we need to reshoot this because it's going out tomorrow before the watershed, so the kids are going to watch it, so we can't have any flipping the bird and middle finger." So then Billy Gould's going to get his way and they're going to gaffer tape this freaking mask to my freaking face. And I was thinking that I was just crestfallen because all my life to this point was like, oh, you know, because when you're a kid, oh, you're growing up, they go, "Hey, what are you going to be?" I'm a drummer. "Oh, you're in a band?" Yeah. "Going to be on Top of the Pops." And that's what the general angle of sort of, conversation goes with everyone in the UK. Oh, you're in a band, going to be on Top of the Pops, are you? And so when you actually get the chance to do fucking Top of the Pops, you're pretty proud. You're like, I'm going to bloody do Top of the Pops. Yeah. So to do it with this mask taped onto my head would have been a bit shit. So anyway, at this point in time, a BBC runner from the TV show comes down with a clipboard and goes, "Hey, Face No More. Yep. Okay, you're good to go." And they just split. Off they went. Within 5 seconds, there's no more Face No More in the building. I'm just there backstage in this corridor going, "Face No More, you're good to go." Oh my God. That means I've made it. I'm going on TV tomorrow with my pink hair and the middle finger and everything, And that's exactly what happened. and so that, I know there's never a short answer with me, but there's just always these spring-offs that happen,
That's amazing. What about Sham 69 is like one of the most legendary punk bands in the entire world, of course.
Yeah.
You've been with the band since around 2012?
Yeah, 2013. Yeah, exactly. Again, one of those things where I was playing in a band called the Rock and Roll Gypsies, which is a friend of mine called Matt Sargent, who he's played with a lot of people in the punk scene, Splodge and Nessa Bounds and all this kind of stuff, and he's in Chelsea and blah blah blah. And again, he's friends with Jimmy. He was also the bass player in the band for a while. And again, Jimmy wanted to change things up, and he said, Matt, who you got? And Matt was like, you give Robin a call. And so I was recording in this underground studio at the time with Matt doing some Rock and Roll Gypsy stuff, and after I'd done a couple of takes, I went up to get some air, and suddenly my phone starts ding 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 ding, that you get some reception, and I got like this voicemail, and it was just Jimmy going, "All right, Robbie, I want you in Brighton tomorrow. It's Jimmy." It was about that. I was like, okay, what am I doing? It's just this vague ass message. And basically, me and Matt went down and walked in the studio, and they're basically recording the album. They're like, okay, get on the drums, show us what you got. And I was like, listened to the song a couple of times and went through it. And I was like, you offer the sort of silent prayer to the rock and roll gods, and going, if this is meant to be, let me just nail this take, let me kill it. And I killed it, and they went, okay, that's brilliant. Now get back in there and do some more, And I carried on this for about 10, 12 songs, and came out of it. They said, right, you're basically in the band, let's go. And the first gig was headlining Rebellion to 6,000-7,000 people, biggest UK punk rock festival, well respected. Anyone has played it, and 2 or 3 rehearsals, and I'm walking up stage doing this massive show. The rest is history. Yeah.
So I know Sham 69. I received a poster that was signed by you guys. I want to say thanks for that. It's been a little bit.
Amazing. Excellent.
Yeah, Graham Williams was kind enough to hook it up for me. So cheers to Graham.
We've got a killer merch crew, Graham and Sue. Hats off to them. And again, if you ask them or ask me or whatever, how did they get involved? Again, it's because they came and saw. They were big fans of Deep Purple, and Bernie Tormé. Who's sadly not with us anymore, and John McCoy. They were the guitarist and bass player in Gillan, Ian Gillan. Yeah. So when we had a band together, which again is all the fault of Alex Kane from Anti-Product. You see how this crazy world works, yeah? So me and Alex Kane and Danny McCormack from the Wild Hearts were in Bernie's studio doing some songs with Alex and Danny, and Bernie was like, okay, this drummer's good, I need a drummer. John McCoy's played with Stuart Copeland, for God's sake, he knows a good drummer. So they were like, okay, cool, hey kid, you got the oats, just stick around once these guys are gone, and let's do some songs. So we ended up getting this band together called GMT, which is Robin Guy, John McCoy, Bernie Tormé, GMT, Guy McCoy Tormé. And so we played a gig, it must have been Sheffield, and obviously Graham and Sue, friends of mine, I didn't know them at the time, they were like, oh, we're going to go see Bernie Tormé, and John McCoy, because we're fans of Gillan and Ian Gillan and Deep Purple and all that. And they got talking to me, they liked my drumming and stuff, and then through that, they're like, hey, what else are you doing? I'm like, oh, I'm playing in Rachel Stamp, I'm playing Sham 69, blah, 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 blah. And that's how the gospel of rock and roll spreads.
Small world, man, huh?
Which is why we're talking now, and you've got a signed Sham 69 poster. But yeah, I mean, Sham, to hook up with such a legendary band. I mean, like I said, 1977. I was 7 years old, but they were coming on the scene big time then, and they've done all you know, I mean, look, the history and legacy they've got, you know what I mean? It's crazy. The amount of bands that I now see cover Sham 69 is humbling, you know, like, Rancid, Dropkick Murphys, Sick of It All, you know, these are bands that I love. I've played, alongside them and supported them, all that stuff. And it's humbling, and they don't write bad songs. They've got great songs. We're a great live band. I mean, Jimmy's jumping a meter in the air, spitting water everywhere. I mean, you know, it's incredible, you know. A lot of other bands on the sort of the same level or same kind of age, they're a bit more sort of static, shall we say, and they go and play the songs. But you know, with Sham, it's like a blooming caged tiger. It's just insane. You never know what's going to happen. It's chaos from start to finish, and it's incredible. The songs are just amazing. The band are amazing live, and that's that. I'm just, you know, it's very, very honoured to be part of all these. Like I said, you know, when you play for Bruce Dickinson, that's the best you can get there. Eric Faulkner, the basic rollers, Sham 69, you know, tapping into all these different. They're all so different bands, but I mean, it's all amazing, you know.
Yeah, we've had your buddies in Sham 69 on the show. Dave Parsons has been on, and so has Dave Tragana. And amazing. I'm wondering, have you have ever written a book, or do you have plans to maybe put out an autobiography?
No, but yes, but maybe we should just transcribe this podcast and save me some ghostwriting action, you know. You got to help out on that, buddy. You know, we could maybe doing this together, because you know, you definitely got the chapters with all the questions, you know.
Yeah, I'm totally appreciate your time today. It's been a lot of fun talking to you, man. And
yeah.
How's your health doing, man?
It's good. Like I said, obviously, you know, I mean, you know, humanity has had a tough couple of years, what with, pandemic. But then when you have, you know, when you're going through bowel cancer and you have to have chemotherapy during a pandemic, you know, it's tough. You know, I mean, you essentially have the treatment and you're kind of like, you know, you're zombified for a few days, and then, you know, you get back to being you, and you start kicking ass again, and you get back on stage. It's funny because, like, you know, like, say for example, like, you know, Facebook, everyone's on Facebook, and they kind of gauge where you're at in life and what you're doing by your Facebook page. And so they'll see a picture of me rocking out with Sham or whatever, Rachel Stamp, and they'll be like, "Hey man, you know, I knew you could kick it to the curb. Oh, so glad to see you back doing what you do." And I'm like, "Well, I never stopped doing it, you know." And then when they see a picture of you, say, you know, I do a post, say, I'm in the hospital doing it, they'll be like, "Oh no, you know, blah blah blah, you know, you're at death's door," and it's always black and white. It's either one or the other. I'm like, well, it's the same me through the whole lot, you know. And it's just like, when I can, you know, when I'm rocking shows, I'm rocking shows, and when I'm not, you know, getting through the chemo, I'm doing that. But, you know, I just try to, you know, eat as much as possible, drink, keep, you know, rehydrated, sleep well, and also, just like I said, I've been building this big drum studio. I've got all these bands, you know, which is just total. It's 24/7 chaos. Don't work with bands. Don't work with bands, kids. They're all mental. All mental.
I agree, it is mental, but you know, you are one of the biggest legends in rock and roll and punk rock, and I just love all the stuff you've done and that you continue to do, and I really do appreciate you making the time for me, Robin. And
no, man, that's what it's about.
What's next? What's your next gig, man?
Well, we're shaping up for some Sham 69 action. We're headlining Rebellion for like the fourth time in whatever, a handful of years. I mean, you know, we headlined it, my first gig in 2013, then 2015, then 2017, and obviously all this pandemics cancelled all the festival for a few years, and now we're back headlining one of the days. We just did a Rachel Stamp reunion show, which was great. A couple of fiasco shows here and there. I've been managing a band called Bite Me, which, look out for them. They've just done a new video. It's an all-girl, trashy, sleazy punk rock and roll band with great songs. They're one of the best bands live at the moment. And I'm also putting together there's a singer called Stevie James. He was the original singer of Tiger Tails, which is that band I played in back in 2010, 2011, 2012. And it's the 35th year anniversary of the original album, which is, it's a little bit like the comparison, like you were saying earlier, with Paul Di'Anno and Maiden. You know, like, they're Maiden a great band with Di'Anno, and they're a great band with Bruce. They're two completely different vibes, but they're both amazing, you know. And it's like that with the first album. It's really rootsy, it's really garagey, it's trashy, it's dirty, it's punky. It's got great songs, and it's just, there's not a bad song on there. So Stevie James that was the first album, and then they parted ways, and then they did another album, which, you know, a bit more commercial and a bit more glossy, bigger production, you know, with another singer called Kim Hooker, and that, you know, that's your sort of your Bruce Dickinson era, if you will. But both were great. But the first album, a lot of people hold that close to their heart. So I was talking with him. I bumped into him. He was doing some vocals with Cherry Curry from the Runaways, you know, and Susie Quattro. So we hung out, and then we talked, and he got in touch and said, "Look, I want to put a band together. It's the 35th year anniversary of that first record." And I was like, "Wow, this is a guy he hasn't really been on stage for like 12 years. A lot of people want to know what's going on." So I put a cool band together and booked a London show, and people have suddenly started buying tickets from all around the world. So, you know, that's on October the 15th in London. So look out for that. All the details will be, you know, on the usual Facebooky stuff like that. But yeah, if you're into punky rock and roll glam stuff, and you know, it's all there.
Cheers. That's so great to hear. Well, man, Robin, appreciate your time. I'm going to wrap it up. We have been talking with Robin Guy, legendary drummer, sponsored by Pearl Drums and
Sabian cymbals and Vic Firth sticks and Aquarian drum heads and protection racket cases and Audio Technica mic, you know, and the kitchen sink. Everyone else, you know.
Too much,
give credit for these guys. Yeah, fantastic, man.
All right. Well, love your energy, and I love everything you do, bro. Thanks so much for your time.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. It's good to dust off all these crazy stories. As you know, we could probably go on for another 3 hours. I haven't even told you all about Eve, but that's another podcast.
Let's talk another time, and you should consider that book.
Yeah, man. Yes. Listen, buddy, thanks for your time. Appreciate it, man. You know, let's do this again.
You bet. Rock and roll, and take care. Okay.
Yeah, definitely, man. All right, nice one.
Cheers.
Take it easy.